All right. Well, I've done a couple videos in the past talking about some large knives and the philosophy of use behind them. And previously, I had done a video featuring the BK9 uh, made by K. Barbecker, feather sticking. That edge on that knife is honed in very nicely. That is my number one using blade. The edge on that is convex ground and everything. I had, what I term, soften the shoulders. I had softened the shoulders, with stones. This knife here is just complete factory edge. And this is the Ontario SP5. They call this the Survival Bowie. This knife here, in the past, these were made the Gen 1 Spec Plus line by Ontario was made by, it was in 1095 steel. Now they're 1075 steel. What does that mean to a user like you or I? Really nothing. I bet you most people, if you did a blind test and worked the knife and sharpened it, probably wouldn't tell the difference, all things being equal. Good heat treat, same design and everything, the same maker. You wouldn't even, be able to tell the difference. A lot of those things are more or less, intellectual talk, if you will. Actual field use is completely different. So this type of design like this has been around for quite a while. This is like the Marbles Trailmaker, the Michigan Bowie by Bark River, the 1909 Michigan Bowie. They all had about this same shape, 1/4 inch steel, 10 1/4 inch blade on this, But what I want to do is show you that pretty much right out of the box, and it's not all the time you can do this, because sometimes, depending on the maker, your knife may need a little bit more work. But this has been used for a couple months, and I'm not going to review this knife because, as I stated earlier, I like to own things at least a year before I bring them to you, because sometimes opinions change. So I believe I got this sometime in early May. So it's a couple months old, and as you can see, it has been used. I've used it a lot, at the homestead. It's come out on some outings with me. It's done an evening's worth of firewood, tent stakes, all that type of stuff. I haven't done food prep with it, and usually I'm not too keen on cutting up my food with the coating on a knife like this. So probably when I go to that point, if it's not all stripped off by then from use, I'll strip it off myself. This knife came quite well out of the box, and this is just a piece of ceramic, a thermocouple from a thermocouple. And a couple licks like that on this knife, and this comes right back. And this goes along with, things I've talked about in the past and what others have talked about. Oh yeah, that's nice and shaven sharp. Is having a knife you can work out in the field like this. Using the proverbial river rock, right? You hear people talk about, I can use a river rock to, sharpen that knife. So, of course, as any of you know, we can do our feathers, like this with a knife like this. Okay, it takes a little bit more control, obviously, to be able to do that. And this is just a piece of hard maple. And because this knife is half guard, I'm able to get up on top like this. It's got that nice ricasso. I wouldn't exactly say that this here is a choil, but done right there, you can get your hand right in there. So this here's a method, as I've said. I've used this, and this is just drawing the wood to you. And now doing it in this method is complete control here. Complete control. I can get nice, long, even strokes, and all I'm doing is just sort of holding this right here, back, up against the tree, and drawing this towards me. So real quickly here, we could easily make some passable feathers to touch off you know, with a lighter. We can get even thinner, you know, and get some that could possibly you know, retain the spark from a ferrocerium rod. I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, the old saying, and I want to say, and don't quote me on this, and as I've said before, don't quote me on anything I say, but I want to say that Ron Hood and him and possibly even Ethan Becker had said that a large knife can do everything a small knife can do. But it's not the other way around. Many times you cannot press a small knife into the service of a large knife. Sure, you may be able to, you know, take your small knife and, you know, baton around something to, you know, get some ridge pulls of maybe that size or whatnot. But at the end of the day, you're not going to pull the work out of it. Now, if you're doing dedicated carving stuff, you know, that's a little bit different. And as I've always said, almost all of us carry some sort of folding knife anyways. So that's not even on topic, really. So, you know, being able to use your large knife in a fashion like this to, you know, make feather sticks, which in many events is hardly necessary. As you can see, I mean, short work of this. Nice power cut right through. So there, you know, I mean, not an issue at all there with that knife. So if you pick a good knife, you know, one that has some decent geometry, and if you have a passable edge, you can utilize these methods. Just like I'm showing you here. You probably go take the Winchester Bowie right off the shelf at Walmart. And I mean, we can get some real powerful cuts here. I mean, if you wanted to, we could simulate a stop cut here. And then we'll just sort of draw into that. I mean, this is what these guys are talking when they're talking you know, doing the work of a small knife. I mean, you're not going to need to get much more smaller than that doing any of your general campcraft. Yet this will also, you know, delimb and peel, you know, larger pieces of wood. It's going to do more work for you. So don't be afraid to, you know, get moving with the big knife. Don't think that, you know, you can't do certain things like feather sticks is easy. Not that you do need to do feather sticks often, but when you do, it's nice to know that if you have something like this on your system, that you can, you know, get things like that done. Once again, thank you very much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.